Okay, welcome everybody to the 2013 Teen Leadership Info Session, which we got a whole bunch of people that are on and a whole lot more people will be watching the recording. So we are recording you. So, yeah, let me get you unmuted here. I'm going to see, I can try. Did it work? Yeah, all right, good. I'm muting the parents that are watching, because when we did the last Zoom for parents back in the spring before the summer, we got like hacked. I don't know if it was the Russians or whatever, but we got hacked, and like people started like dive bombing us and playing music and unmuting and muting, and it was a whole mess. So because we put the Zoom address out there into the world, we are not going to, or you guys could type questions into the chat. But I suggest that you don't type your questions. You could type your questions in the chat, but we're not going to look at them until towards the end, because it's most likely that Brandy is going to answer most of the things as we go along with Matt Shippen and myself. All right. So, Brandy, you're going to give us the philosophy of the team program. Then we're going to talk about the CITs, and then we're going to talk about the LITs, and then we're going to talk about the compliance aspects and things you got to do before the summer starts, and then we'll open it up for questions. All right. So let me introduce Brandy first, because there would be no teen program like this if it weren't for her. Most camps, I always tell people, they create these teen programs that are like trial by fire programs. Okay, you pay us money and then your kids work, and then they'll learn by that, and we'll help them as they're working, right? And that's how we started. And then at some point, Brandy was like, listen, if you're going to do this, let's either do it or not do it. Let's get serious about this and make it a real teen leadership program, not just a little conveyor belt for the next counselors, but for anybody who needs leadership skills, for the rest of their life, whether it's for college or for career or for whatever, being a good, spouse or whatever. So that's how we framed it. So I'm not going to talk anymore, Brandy, for now. I'm going to hand it to you, and then I'll chime in.
What a wonderful, flattering segue there. Thank you. And thank you to everybody who can be on the Zoom tonight and who are giving up their time, because there are some changes. And we do think it's important. The old saying is, it takes a village. And I think anybody who has kids understands what that means. And we are happy to be a part of your village for your team. So thank you for being here. Matthew Haminsky, who is our teen division coordinator, our teen leadership coordinator. He is here tonight. Thank you for being here, Matt. And I'm not sure, because I can't see everybody, but we might have some of the other mentors present as well. So to start with, I do want to talk a little bit more in depth about the why we do this program, because like Andy alluded to, typically camps don't invest in our teens. Actually, typically, you don't really find a lot of programs outside our schools that really invest into 14 and 15-year-olds. It's a unique age. We really felt very strongly that our teenagers, that it's our responsibility as camp to serve youth. That includes our 14 and 15-year-olds. But also that, it's such a unique age that if we can really give them the experience that, to get them hooked early on to what we define as leadership, and give them those opportunities and support them through that process, that they can really be successful in anything they take on. And it isn't just about camp. So it really was about being there to support this age group and, building that community around them. And I really don't think any other camp or organization outside of school really does it like we do here. And certainly we have the Pritikins as well as our teen mentors to thank for that. So now that you know that we really are committed to that, let's talk about a little bit about what or how we define our leadership program. A lot of times leadership programs are filled with lots and lots of, definitions of what leadership skills are. This is what communication is, and this is what responsibility is. Camp does it in a way where we give them what we call experiential learning. It is hands-on. we use camp as a sort of springboard or a learning environment, but what we're certainly doing is putting them in opportunities and situations for them to learn these things on themselves, like by themselves. So when we define it, it is certainly outside the parameters of what you traditionally think of a teen program. And we define leadership to be three things, the three pillars of our teen leadership program. Let's start with the first one, no particular order, but we're going to talk about drive. So drive was important to us when we were thinking about the definition of what we wanted to impart in these kids of what a leader is, because we wanted them to do the right thing simply because it's the right thing to do. You know, to finish something the right way with nobody looking or there's no grade involved, just to follow something through, to show up when you're supposed to see a commitment through. And really, it's a lesson best experienced for themselves. You know, no adult can really force you to understand what that means. You know, but a fellow camper or a younger camper looking up to our teen leaders and depending on our teen leaders to show up the next day to teach them how to swing that bat, you know, or to show them that magic card trick or to find that Pokemon with them. That is such a big deal. So to really learn that lesson of what that inherent drive and motivation is, to have that when nobody's looking, we think is a really very, very important pillar of being a leader. So that's number one. Number two, we think is vision. It is not let's say a sexy, teen leadership skill, vision. A lot of people don't really know what that means, but we think it's very important for our young people and for true leaders to be able to see the full picture, to see down the line, to set goals, to know where they want to go. Not only is that a really big part of being successful in work, in, school curricular activities, in taking tests, really seeing that end goal, but also just in your own life, right? Seeing the kind of person you want to be, and then really kind of finding that path to get there. That's a huge part of what we focus on in our program, and a really unique aspect of our program versus other programs, to focus both on their vision personally and what we consider professionally. And we dedicate a lot of time to that. There's a lot of reflection. We do things like break boards, goal setting. We write letters they write letters to themselves in the future. We actually just 2 weeks ago mailed out letters for our 2012 class, would be 10 years ago. So our 2012 teen leaders will shortly or have already gotten them in the mail, hopefully, once the letter finds them where they might be a decade after camp. And we think it's interesting perspective too for them. So we really do try to get them to focus on the future and having to start being prepared for that now and how decisions now can impact them, 10 years down the road. So that would be pillar number two. And the last one, which personally I feel is the most important definition of a leader, is service. To lead is to serve. And whether, you're serving in a soup kitchen or you're doing community service hours and helping underprivileged communities, or you're at camp and you're picking up trash and you're helping a young camper learn how to tie their shoes, right? It's all about seeing a need and filling a need and understanding that it's always the right thing to help. And I think that's really at the bottom, at the root and at the real center and core of what we do at camp. And certainly how we define leadership is to always help whenever we can and however we can. And we give them many opportunities at camp to help, whether that's like in a group with our campers, or it's at an activity with our specialist, or it's doing foundation celebration work to support our nonprofit, or the Liberty Lake Foundation, which is our partner nonprofit. We try to give them as many opportunities to give back and to help and to serve. So our three pillars: drive, vision, and service. Usually I would stop here for questions. It feels a little awkward to keep rambling. I will pause to see if Matt or Andy would like to add anything about our main philosophy before I continue. Are you boys good? Okie dokie then.
Yeah, no, I want to say that, the staff that we have at in our teen leadership program is a lot different than the staff in the rest of the camp. It takes a unique kind of person to want to work with this age group. I hope you realize, okay, because they are challenging and very rewarding. It's a very, very important time of their life where they're sort of realizing who they are, and they're pretending to be adults a little bit. They're trying to get there, right? And it's our job to push them out of their comfort zones and get them to realize that being cool is not the most important thing, and to accumulate these skills that they can use, especially communication skills, right? Especially that. And in this day and age, stress management, right? Lord knows we hear about mental health all the time, right? A lot of that is just stress management, right? And knowing that stress actually helps you grow. And so the people that we have in the teen leadership program, just talking about last year, when we had a guidance counselor, we had some really accomplished folks who are not your typical 19-year-old, 17-year-old, 16-year-old camp counselor. We're talking about people in their 20s who have had lots of life experiences
or older,
and who are really good at working with these kids and really patient. What it sort of comes down to also, and are committed to this work.
And that is truly, when we talk about a different program, certainly camp's commitment in the staffing. And that does bring me to sort of where I was going to next. So another lovely segue. Thank you, Andy.
Well, I got one other thing I wanted to add.
Okay.
I got one other thing, right? So, most of you that are on this call that I see the names here are longtime camp families, and you've heard myself and Brandy, and you've read our stuff, and we talk about all this highfalutin stuff about character education, and you come down our driveway and you see those things. The teen leadership program is like the culmination of all that, because frankly, there's only so much that we can do with a 7-year-old, okay? That we're just giving them the beginnings of those things. And then they get to sophomores and juniors and seniors, and we're giving them a little more. But when they hit this 9th and 10th grade program, it's like, you're not a camper anymore. You're in the teen leadership division. You're a leader. And then the question that gets posed to them all the time, especially when they mess up, is what would a leader do in this situation? And it's reframing their brains about that. And we're only taking kids that are up for that challenge, that want to see it that way, right? So this is really what it's all about. All those 5 star points when you come down the driveway become completely realized, especially the aspiration one. All right, now
So again, good segue. And really, it takes me into kind of the idea of why we broke it into 2 parts. It is part of the commitment that we have to our program, to even do it for 9th graders when we could have gotten another year of campers. But it is a unique program, and teens are very unique developmentally. And the reason we do it in 2 parts is because because of that uniqueness, we really wanted to give them that idea of exposing them to those skills and to those basic ideas, but then building on them and really having them absorb and really having them understand what those are, and like Andy says, it's a process, and we get some of the kids for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. With the teams, we have these amazing staff dedicated to just this group of kids. And it's awesome what we can do in that environment. And it really does sort of work through where they're at emotionally and development, because they are at a point where they are making important decisions for the first time of their life. They're making sacrifices. A lot of our kids have to give up something to commit to 6 weeks of the LIT program, or maybe they don't come back to camp because they have to do coaches practices because they're a serious, teen athlete. These are things that up until this point of their life, they weren't deciding. So we really want to support them in that process and help them learn to be adults, and to show them, that what what that path can look like in a really positive light when you have a community around you, and to, like Andy said, push them out of their comfort zone. But our staff isn't just really awesome, committed, smart people. They also give constant feedback. There's an evaluation process. They're checking in with them constantly. They're running these skill lessons. They're in the camping trips with them at the retreats overnight, breaking boards with them. This is something that, they are emotionally committed to, but it's a process and it's feedback. And it's that go try again. We're here to help you get through it. You are always expected to be a leader, and we're going to get to that later, in a few minutes, because that is a big difference in being, going from camper to team leader, especially for our 9th graders, because it's a blended program. But they have very high expectations and they have very high standards, and we accomplish a lot in this program. But as much as, your kids put into it, we're going to get back to them. And we are real grateful for it. And we really do think that whether they want to work with kids or not, that's really important for them and for you to understand. This will help them be successful regardless of what they choose to do next year. And this by no means is for them to get a job here. This really is for them to just get a really good start to their future, to get on that path to leadership, well, no matter where that road winds, and know that they have the support through that process, so that when there really are difficult challenges beyond just what they're dealing with now, the uniqueness of social media, like Andy said, anxiety, school violence, global awareness that's constantly around them, all these unique challenges on top of the regular teen challenges that, we can all remember going through. It's incredibly important that they have adults in their life that aren't their parents, because they need to learn how to be adults, and they need to do that kind of away from you guys. And we really take that role very, very seriously. And we've broken it into 2 parts in order to do it justice, in order not just to spit, skills at them and say, these are the top Fortune 500 skills that these companies are looking for, and really just, give them resume builders. This really is an experience to enhance their life and to hopefully give them that time to figure out, which direction they want to go in. So with that said, it is a 2-part program. Hi, look at the screen Angie just shared. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to talk a little bit specifically about our CIT program, which is our Campers in Transition. So this program is specifically for our entering 9th graders that are typically 14 years old. And when I say it's a blended program, we did that because, very on average, this age group is not necessarily developmentally, emotionally, mentally ready to take on that full commitment, that full responsibility of an LIT or an all-day program. They are right on that cusp of sort of giving up that youth identity and moving towards that more grown-up kind of adult responsibility. And we really wanted to design a program that was appropriate for that. So where a typical senior camper would have 4 electives in their 8-period day, as well as a spirit event, a free choice period, lunch, and a swim, our CATs will actually have most likely 3 skill trainings, maybe 2, and then 1 or 2 electives, just depending on what, how we specifically program for 2023. But it is split between going to an elective for themselves and, choosing the rock wall because they really love to rock climb, versus the skill training that might be, a drop-in day at boating, and they hate to boat, but they're there as a team leader to assist and to learn. So they do sort of have both of those experiences to be there, to be on campus, always as a team leader, held to that sort of expectation of being a good role model and doing the right thing, but also having sort of time to still decompress and be sort of just campers, for 1 or 2 periods, certainly at their lunch period, certainly at their sim periods. They still get to do their free, their special event if they choose to. We give them time to participate, where vice versa, the LITs are, truly immersed all day in dedication of, being that team leader. So It is a blended program for our entering ninth graders, and it is unique. So there is a lot of patience, and there is a lot of support that is offered to these ninth graders. But because it's a blended program, where we draw the boundaries and where we do set those perimeters on our behavior and our expectations, we take them very seriously. So our ninth graders, behaviors and certain things and, certain actions that may have been tolerated to senior campers, there's probably going to be less tolerance as a teen leader. And we will get to that in just a second. I do want to talk about some more specifics for the CITs. It is a 4-week commitment. In order for us to really to give them a cohesive CIT first track program, we really do ask for a 4-week commitment out of our regular season. So any 4 weeks between weeks 1 and 8. And during that time, they will have the support of the team mentors. They will have skills trainings. They will do service activities, and they will get community service hours for them that they can use in their school year or for any groups that they, might be involved in, like the Scouts. Let's see, some of the other things, we'll get to the actual how to register. They do have debriefs. They are going to go through a lot of those processes, and they are expected to come to things like orientation, and they will be considered part of the teen leadership division. And that's really important. So going to say it, CIT parents of our entering ninth graders, really important moment here. If you zoned out a little bit, come back to me because this is very new. And I want to make sure that everybody understands this. Typically, in years past, we've given our ninth graders the opportunity to try our teen leadership program. And if they were not successful, meaning they just didn't like having to do the responsibilities, they weren't ready for that yet, or their behaviors just weren't at the maturity level that is expected of a teen leader, we would allow them to go back to our senior camp division to finish their camp. This season, because of our incredibly high enrollment rates, it is not going to be an option anymore for our ninth graders to go back to senior camp. And where we've always said the teen leadership program is a choice, we really need our ninth graders to understand now that unless they are very ready to commit to this choice and put the work in, we want them really to be prepared, because as a ninth grader, like if they cannot raise the bar to, like they cannot have, the behaviors and model leadership for the rest of the camp, and they can't focus in the skill training, and they can't do what's expected of them, and they end up getting 3 strikes, because there is a 3-strike policy for our teen leaders, they will be asked to leave camp. Andy, I don't know if there's anything else you want to say in regards to that. That is new, and it is the first time we're doing it.
But what she's alluding to is a ninth grader could sign up right now, theoretically, if there was room, and get into the regular camp program. What she's talking about is down the road, once all the groups are filled, we won't be able to have, we probably won't have the leverage to flip somebody into the regular senior program, right?
And we certainly won't be able to do it once the summer starts.
Right.
Meaning that if you're a teen leader, whether you're an entering ninth grader, and certainly it's always been this way for a 10th grader, if your behavior is not what's expected out of you as a leader, you will be asked to leave camp. So we just really want everybody to understand what we mean by choosing this.
Well, and what you also mean by behavior is that, look, there's a lot of kids who are going to sign up who have literally been here for 10 years, right? And there's kids that have been here for 1 year, right? And some of them, they think, oh, I come to Liberty Lake and I goof around and just have a good time because it's, yeah, woo, right? And they don't take seriously all the stuff that we're saying. which is why we have an expectation agreement, which is why we talk in this serious way about this. It's fun. It's not school. Okay. It's fun. They're having fun by learning awesome things and by doing and having awesome experiences and stuff. It is a fun program. As a matter of fact, most of the kids that go through the CIT and LIT program say it's their favorite 2 years out of the 10 years or whatever that they had at camp. That is a normal thing that we hear. But it is not just a continuation of camp. It is like, okay, party's over. Now we're on. And it comes at a great time in life, right? It comes at a time when these kids are going to be going to high school, right? So it works because mentally these kids, all these kids that are in 8th grade right now, who might be thinking, oh, I don't know, it sounds a little weird, right? Well, guess what? A year from now, you're going to be walking through a hallway at like a high school could be like RV with like 3,000 kids, right? Like you're going to have to rewire yourself a little bit. And this program will help. It'll help get you ready.
So apparently Andy thinks I scared everybody. I'm just trying to be very serious because I don't want any surprises in the middle of the summer. But when I talk about behavior, I mean, you can't sit in a skills training and, sing songs and be completely distracting. We're very patient and we don't expect any of our team leaders to be perfect. And we don't expect any of our team leaders to be our staff. They are teams and we understand that probably better than anybody else on campus. And we're here for them. And it is a great program and it is fun. And we do our learning through experiences. And they have privileges unlike other campers, but we do take leadership seriously. So now that we understand that, let's move on to the specifics of the LIT program. Our LITs, more significant commitment. We ask for a 6-week out of the 8 weeks that you register for as at camp, because there is a camp application and an LIT application. There is the same 3-strike policy. And their day is fully committed to team leadership. And that can look like a skills training, that can look like a drop-in day where they intern. Excuse me. There are times where we get the ropes course and the challenge course, and we do those things that when we say we push them out of their comfort zone, things like the high ropes, certainly focus on that. We do a lot of debriefing, a lot of asking why, a lot of what is your intention? What do you want to get out of this? Certainly one of our goals with our LITs and our overall teen program is to really help them understand or to help them gain perspective, right? To move them from being the center of their own universe and to give them experiences that will, move them to kind of seeing the world as this big place and expose them to different people and different perspectives and different experiences and different backgrounds, so that they can just become, more versed and really kind of take themselves out of the center of their own universe, and really see the world as the big place it is and find their place in it and choose how they want to be in that world. So that is definitely something that we really do with our LITs in that extra time that we have in that 6-week full day commitment. So there is a teen leadership retreat that the LITs do. LITs, by the way, are our leaders in training, LIT. And they do a teen leadership retreat. That's a weekend trip. There is a lot of kind of vision guided meditations, meditative work for them, writing letters and goal setting. So there is a big part of the LIT program, because of being a little bit more mature, because of going through a year of high school, where we can dive a little deeper into sort of the people that they want to be. So it's not just kind of understanding those skills. It's also kind of then saying, well, what kind of leader do I want to be? And what kind of skills do I, value? And do I really want to embody? And that's really the big chunk of what the LIT program really is about. And they do spend kind of all day. So where a typical CIT day could look like the morning is pretty much dedicated to doing, they could have a skill training and then they could debrief that training and then they might help at a spirit event and then they go to lunch and then they might actually be like spending the rest of the day kind of enjoying the fun stuff. You know, the LITs would sort of do that skills training, that debrief, do lunch, but then they're going to like the spirit event to assist maybe the turtles. And then they're going to swim, but then they're going to go help at a free choice and they're going to run an activity, let's say. Or maybe they're doing the high ropes course that afternoon. So it's still the 8 periods. They're still getting the fully catered lunch. They're still getting swim every day. And we do still allow them to participate in the spirit events that are extra special to our kids. And then as teen leaders, they do get a trip to the beach. Our LITs go to the beach. Our LITs have the overnight. We have the after hours dance still. And there are some, special teen stuff peppered in there that are surprises. But overall, the real difference is that expectation we hold them to, and sort of how every moment now is a learning opportunity, and every moment really has those mentors there to say, why did you do that? What did that mean to you? Is that something you want to do again? And really kind of just get them thinking, outside of their screen and outside of that little bubble. Because when we do bring them outside of that, it's amazing to see where they can go. And they've always impressed us. So Andy has on screen right now our actual website, which talks a little bit about the things that I just went over, our philosophy and why we do things. But most importantly, specifically what he has up right now is our LIT application. Both the programs have documentation involved. And when we say you have to apply to be an LIT, every child that comes to Liberty Lake has to fill out a Camp Minder camp application. LITs, leaders in training, will then have an additional application process, and the CITs have additional paperwork that goes along with our Camp Minder application. So what you're looking at right now, if you go to our website and you go to the program and you go to the teen leadership program, there are separate links to our 9th and our 10th program. Andy is on right now the LIT application process, and you'll see links there to the LIT form, the application form, this is for your entering 10th grader to complete. I'm going to say that again. All of this paperwork, whether it's the CITs or the LITs, please, parents, let your children complete those forms. It is a wonderful learning experience for them to have to figure out how to submit paperwork, follow up on paperwork, call when it doesn't work, make sure it went through. They're going to have to fill out applications for the National Honor Society in a year or two, college applications in a few years. They need to be able to do it, and we are here to provide that safe space for them to start learning. And if they fail, that's okay, because it's with us, but we need them to do it. So your job as parents is to remind them and encourage them. You can even call me and say, hey, did my kid do what I told them to last night? But we really need them to put the work in here. So the LIT application form, which is that number 1, and then 2 personal references. Yes, references. So they say personal, but what we really need, they're not supposed to say personal. We need them to be some form of, that we know they don't have work experience, but what we want them to be is somebody outside of a friend or a camp relationship. So a coach, a youth minister, maybe it's their Boy Scout troop leader. Maybe it's somebody they dog walks for. What we don't want is a family friend that says it's their great kid. We know your kids are wonderful. We know many of them and we love them. Please, what we want to hear is from somebody who says they show up when they need to show up, and they, have good work ethic and they're helpful. So it's close to what we would consider professional references as possible. And we will update that on the website. A copy of their latest or most recent progress report and or report card. This is important. Everybody should understand that we are not accepting them based on their GPA. This is a piece of a teen picture that we are trying to gather when they apply. This is something else that they have to get, that they have to submit. So nobody panic if your grades aren't great. And it doesn't really matter. Like, we don't want something that's 2 years old, obviously, but if you want to submit your paperwork, sooner rather than later, you can use like the first marking period's progress report, and that would be fine. You can take screenshots of your parent portals. Really, any of these documentations for any of our teen leaders, they just need to be submitted, whether it's online, it's emailed, it's mailed, it's dropped off. I don't care if it's hard copies or if it's digital. I just need it. So grades in any facet that you can get it to me, please. And then there is the teen program policy agreement, which really talks about our camp policies and reiterates again the kind of behavior expectations that we want from them with their maturity levels and what we expect, in our camp environment that might be unique, that might not be expected from their school. So we want to be clear with them, and we ask that you guys both read them and sign them. That is the LIT program. For our campers in transition, and Andy, I don't know if you can pull that back up again. It's also on the same website under the 9th grade link. There are 2 documents. It is the same teen leadership program policy form that the LITs are signing because it's divisional, and they are in the teen leadership division. But then they also sign the CIT overview and expectation policy, which really is just, again, reiterating what this program is. It's saying, you're choosing this and we're in this together, so understand it. And we do ask that both our camper in transition and you as their parent sign that as well. And then really, once we receive those documentations, I'll be in touch. I'll let you know that I received them. I'll let you know what else I need. You'll receive confirmation that they're in the program. Obviously, when you're applying through CamMinder, you're still going to Joe Craig, our administrative director, with any enrollment questions. But anything teen specific can come to me either at bc@libertylakedaycamp.com or at teen leaders. Andy, is that still on? At teens@libertylakedaycamp.com. Is that still on?
I think it's teens.
Teen, plural.
Yeah.
So otherwise, once I get those documentations, you guys really just wait for communication from us. Last year, we did do a teen leadership orientation to sort of get them ready for the season. I think we are anticipating on doing that again. There will also be a teen debrief on December 9th, which is a Friday. We are inviting our teen leaders to come back and to in-person debrief, to learn more about the program or ask questions. And then we invite them specifically to stay and enjoy the camp yearbook premiere at the Eco Complex. So save your dates on that. It's the Friday. I think it's December 9th.
That is correct. December 9th.
So there will be some more moments that we can get your teens immersed and we can get them to understand it. We can get them on the teen leadership track. Because honestly, at the end of the day, we can tell you all about our skills and we can show you our schedules. But I can genuinely say to you, we have such an amazing group of individuals committed to these teens to really just help them be the best versions of themselves. And once we kind of expose them to that feeling of doing good and doing the right thing and helping and, just kind of that pride that comes with that experience, and that self-value that they gain and that confidence. There is no better cure for that anxiety that they're going through and those moments of doubt that they're experiencing than, having those mentors and being on this amazing facility and just really having all of that camp, love and power behind the program on top of what we're trying to give them. I'm very proud of the program. And if there are any parents that are on the Zoom tonight that have gone through the program, heck not. But really, we're very fortunate that we do end up getting a lot of staff from our program, but we are just very fortunate to see our teen leaders go on and just do great things as adults and as they go through high school and college. So thank you for, being on the Zoom and trusting us with your teens. And we really hope that you guys also see the value, because we certainly do. Andy and Matt, if you have anything else you'd like to add.
Like you said, a lot of the things reiterate, there's a lot of cool things that we've done over the years at this program. Like and you've seen some of them in here. You saw some of the things that they're working with wood. We built chairs for turtles with the CITs. It's a great service project. Past year, that we built sundials to have around camp to help tell time around camp. So they'll be around, camp next year. We talked a lot about serious stuff and a lot about the leadership thing, but we try to make it through a fun lens where they get to, be hands-on and interactive and learn through experiences, as opposed to just like, we're not just sitting up there. It's not more classroom stuff. It's really a great program, and I 100% believe in it. I've been coming to camp on and, this is my 9th year at camp, and these last 4 years I've been in the teen program has been my favorite 4 years at camp. It's not just the campers who find it the most awesome. I find it the most awesome too. So I'm really
Me
excited
too.
to work with them.
Are there any questions, Andy? Matthew, thank you for that. And we love having you a part of it. It is also my favorite part. And although I do a lot of things at camp and, am very busy, I still really do try to find time to be with the teens. And I go camping with them every year, and I sleep, well, not on the ground, but, I do love our teens. I don't know if there are questions, Andy, but were there any questions that were typed, or is there a way that people raise their hands on this?
Well, the chat is open for questions. We haven't gotten any, but we do explain a lot of things, so,
very thorough.
right? I mean, just one thing to reiterate again, that the CIT program is a minimum of 4 weeks, and the LIT program is a minimum of 6 weeks. Any 4, any 6. That you can get at this point. And like Brandy alluded to before, it's sort of crazy how filled up the camp is at this point. But the main places that we have spaces right now remain the teens and the CITs, because historically teens sign up late. They always do, because, from what we hear, they're telling their parents, yeah, I'd rather do this, I'd rather do that, I'd rather do something else. And then next thing spring rolls around and nothing evolves. And then they're like, oh my gosh, can you get my kid in the program? So, we are planning on a certain amount of kids at camp every day. And if we have more kids, if less kids in a teen sign up, we're going to allocate those spots to the seniors and take more of them. So I hope that if you're interested, fill out an application. And then, like I wrote in the chat, you can always call us. We're here during the camp day from 8 to 5 most days. And you can always email bc@libertylakedaycamp.com is your best bet.
And really, even if it's just to say, hey, my child really does want to participate in the program, because I can wait for their paperwork, but we need their intention. We need to know it's something they want to do. We need to know it's something you want them to do, and that's going to, be a positive thing, because it really does. We could go into details, but it would be boring. We really need the numbers sooner rather than later. We don't want the teens to miss out. We just don't. We need people to let us know, and we need you guys to just really either send the paperwork in, or send us an email, or send us, call us. And remember, they will get service hours, and they, community service hours, and we sign a lot of papers for them, for their future high school requirements. So there is very tangible things that they do gain from this experience, other than all the valuable things we talked about.
Yeah. I mean, from someone that had 2 teens, and consider what they can do during the summer, right? They're at this weird point where they're really too young to get a job. And, you can pay a lot of money and have them go to some kind of college program and get that kind of experience. But the experience they're going to get here at Liberty Lake, first of all, outdoors, okay, away from their screens. All right, first and foremost, it's such a great opportunity for them to learn how to work together, to really work together, and what we hear from most people, I mean, parents, for those of you that are in the workplace that are working with young people in their 20s, right? A lot of them say that one of the biggest issues is that these people are coming into the workforce and they don't know how to collaborate. They don't know how to play well in the sandbox with one another. And that's a big part of this teen program. As they're emerging into adulthood, learning how to be patient with one another, work with one another, speak with one another, and all that kind of thing. No easy feat. And it takes time. It takes practice in order to make that happen. Kids that just get plunked into it when they get out of college and they get put into the workforce, they don't have any practice, and they're liable not to be that good. Is there a way to make sure the CIT agreement was received and complete? My daughter signed it a
I
month
was
ago.
just answering that. Yes, I actually specifically, I did get hers. I am very apologetic. I was out of the office for a little while after camp, on vacation, and we do some outside work to beat the weather and shutting down campus. So I have not gone through my LAT tracking as well as I should, but I did get hers. I just checked it, and I will be responding to everybody. And, you know, by next week, hopefully I'll be all up to date on letting everybody know that I got their paperwork. And, you know, we'll go from there. So nobody panic just yet, but Robin, I did get both of those documents.
Well, and needless to say, Brandy and I are a lot less busy this time of year than we were a month or two ago. So you can always reach us during the camp day. I'm just saying.
Just sit around.
All right, last call for questions. Otherwise, we will be heading home for this long day for us. Thanks you all.
I may or may not be here Saturday.
The CIT paperwork is, I'm going to go back to the website again for you so you can see. Hang on a second.
Andy, are you going to send this video out to everybody per chance after we do this?
Yes,
Because we
ma'am.
can also include the attachments as well, if you'd like.
Yes. So here, I'm going to take you right into it. So if you're on the home screen, you can go to new campers, returning campers, doesn't really matter. And you go to camp program, teen leadership, which takes you to the page that explains the whole program, like Brandy did at the beginning of this. And then if you're looking for the CIT stuff, you click on that and it takes you to the description of that. And at the bottom, it says, first of all, you have to fill out a camper registration form, right? Because you still got to do that, right? Got to sign up for camp. Then here's the CIT expectation agreement. And then right next to that is the CIT, the teen leadership policy thing. And they're both online forms, right? You fill them out down there. All right. And this one, you do right on that.
And we're going to be very transparent. The online forms have been tweaking a bit, mostly because of the format, but we are working on it. There are a lot of things the teens have to check off on that form. They will get you have submitted this form when you do it at the bottom. You know, but if unfortunately there are times where I will respond and say, hey, I'm so sorry. Can you try filling it out again? But like I said, you could always print it out and scan it and, you know, send me a picture of it or scan and email it or drop it off, you know, to avoid any kind of multiple filling out. But it does work. It just sometimes every now and then it does tweak a little bit. So we are working on that. And the paperwork. So first and foremost, I need to know the commitment, right? And this may change if all of a sudden we have a mad, rush of teens signing up. But typically I ask that they get their paperwork in by May 1st. Really, there is no deadline. It really just needs to be in before they get to camp, right? But I think May 1st is a good goal. It gives them a definite goal to shoot for, but it also gets them involved in any pre-camp communication that we're doing, so they don't miss out on anything. Even sometimes it's just like a fun social thing. So I would say if we had to say a deadline, it would be May 1st, if that could be a goal. Certainly nobody needs to stress. The sooner they work on it, the better. The less you have to, worry about it. If you're like, hey, it's now November. Did we do that yet? I mean, it's like a drip campaign, right? Like you just kind of constantly have to remind the teens of something. We love them, but there is it's May 1st, I would say. Okay.
All right. I think that's it. So this will be online. So if you want your spouse or aunt and uncle or grandparents or friends to see this, it'll be on the Liberty Lake Day Camp YouTube page tomorrow. All right. And I'll send a link to everybody at some point too. Thanks again. Great seeing you.
Stay
Enjoy
safe in the
fall.
weather.
Enjoy the fall, and hopefully Hurricane, whatever his name is, Ian. I don't know, I forgot his name. Hopefully he's not gonna come get us. So take care, everybody.